So what is going on, my fellow collectors? How is everybody doing today? Daredevil19 here, and today in this video I just wanted to make a quick video talking about how I do my rating system when I do a review and rate a figure like a 6 or an 8 or an 8.5 or something like that, because it seems like a lot of people question it or don't really understand how I do my rating system with my figures. I'm going to show a few examples of more like recent reviews of why I gave them the score of what I gave them. Now, with my reviews, I start off every figure. I give the figure company the benefit of the doubt, and I always start them off with a perfect 10, because regardless with issues, companies still do an amazing job when it comes to sculpt, certain accessories you get. So it's always fair to at least, you know, give them the benefit of the doubt. Once you start finding errors or QC issues or maybe lacking accessories, that's when you start taking off like a point or half a point or maybe a whole point and a half a point, depending on what the issue is, or if you have a break or a QC issue or something like that, then you take off a decent amount of points so the figure isn't scored as high as maybe it should have been if it didn't have that QC issue, or if maybe that joint didn't break on me or something like that. So hopefully this video will help all of you out in understanding how I do rate my figures whenever I do review them. So we'll start off with a figure I gave a pretty low rating. This is a very bad rating to me when it hits a 6. I gave this SH Figure Arts, The Dark Knight Rises Catwoman, a 6. Main reason, she is lacking big time in articulation, not just one spot, in multiple spots. So I think I took off like an entire point or a point and a half just for that right there. I did have some sloppy paint around the mask, which sometimes you can let that slide here and there. I guess it depends also with how much you pay for a figure as well. Another thing, I did have a QC issue. Her left heel on her high heels wasn't even put on properly. It was all crooked, so that's QC issue right there. So depending on the QC issue, you could take off a half a point, a whole point, or maybe a point and a half, maybe even 2 points, you know what I mean? So I took off a decent amount for that QC issue. Another reason why I took off some more points on this figure is no alternate heads. If you're not going to include alternate heads with your figures, you're an import company or a company like NECA where you charge high price for high quality figures, I want more than one damn facial expression, and I know that goes for most collectors. You're just giving us one expression. You're limiting our display and posing options with these figures, so you're gonna get points or half a point or something deducted off the score that I'm gonna be giving your figure, and the figure just really didn't turn out as good as I thought it would. It's just, I had to give it a low score because there was a bunch of issues, including QC issues, limited accessories, not giving us any alternate faces or anything like that. So that's why she did get a very low score of a 6, because it's just a $55 figure, and it's like, come on, man, you can't work in articulation like that. Tamashii Nation's main thing is movable, or SH Figure Arts is a new standard figure series that uses the art style of Bandai action figures to successfully pursue character expression through humanoid action. So you're supposed to have a highly articulated figure, and this figure was just lacking big time in articulation. It was just, you really can't put her in any poses, really. So that's why I gave that figure like a really low score, because there was multiple issues with it and multiple complaints I did have with the figure. Now, another one, which was also a more recent review, is the NECA 112 Alcaman. This figure is giving people a lot of mixed feelings about the figure. Personally, I think it's a great figure. It's not the best. It could have been handled a little bit better, but it is a really good figure. The biggest issue with this one is the armor around the torso is just one whole piece, so they just pretty much cut out that torso articulation that all NECA 112 figures do have. The waist, you get very minimal movement out of it, and that is where I took off most the points in how I scored this figure. I did give it an even 8, which is pretty damn good. I think like when I go below an 8, the figure's alright. You know what I mean? Like if it's 7, 7.5, it's an alright figure. It's nothing incredibly special, but it's a decent figure. You know what I mean? If I give something an 8 or higher, it's a pretty damn good figure, or a perfect 10. A practically perfect figure. Not everything's going to be perfect. You might find an issue on a figure that's perfect 10, but sometimes you can let minor issues like that slide and give the figure a perfect 10, you know what I mean? And another reason why I gave this one an 8, I think I took off 1.5 points just for how they did the armor on the torso, limiting that entire torso articulation, so you really can't use any of that torso movement. The detail that's perfect 10 on this figure. That's over a 10 how the detail was. The accessories are pretty good, but for Mezco, you don't get as many accessories as you usually do with their figures, so that's why I took off another 0.5 point. The hands are fine. We do get the mother box, of course, in Mezco's stand, and then we do get the trident, but we don't get any alternate faces, which is the main reason why I took off that 0.5 point. Like, come on, it's 2018. These are high quality figure companies. We should have more than one facial expression with every damn figure that's made. It's just, come on, man. I'm not buying a Mattel that just gives you one face, you know what I mean? It's not the early 2000s or the 90s. It's 2018. Collecting figures is extremely popular. People love posing options and display options. You give us more than one facial expression, then we're gonna have a lot more fun posing the figure around, taking pictures, putting in different poses, you know what I mean, when you have it on display. So that's why I gave him an 8. Some people will agree, some people will disagree, but that's how I rated the figure. I try to be fair with all of my reviews. That's why I give out the scores that I do give out. I don't try to be biased towards anything. If you've been following me for a while, you know Vegeta is my favorite Dragon Ball character, well, besides Bardock. Now, when I reviewed the Scouter Vegeta, I actually didn't give it a really good score. I think I gave it maybe a 7 or something like that. I can't remember off the top of my head, but it was something around that. I know it wasn't over an 8. I know that for a fact because it was lacking with a lot of paintwork, man. There's like no paintwork on that figure, like shading most of all, and it looked like a cheap figure. Now, if I was biased, I would have just gave it a damn 10. So I try to be fair with all my ratings in my reviews. Whoops, I dropped my phone that I'm really not using and thought I was going to use for this video, but I'm not. All right, so I'm going to show you 2 more examples. Another recent review was the NECA original movie Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle San Diego Comic-Con exclusive box set. Now, I gave this set of all turtles even 9, I believe, and the main reason why it didn't get a perfect 10, which I really wanted to give this set a perfect 10, because these are some of my all-time favorite figures ever, hands down, and I really wanted to give the figures a perfect 10. I couldn't though, because for some reason NECA is backtracking with their wrist joints. They're going back to a hinge and a peg, or a hinge and swivel on their wrist joints, when they used to use ball pegs, which give you more of like a circular motion with the arm and with the hand, and you can move it all around. With the hinge and swivel, you can only swivel it and hinge it up and down in only one way. You can't move it all around like how you can with your actual wrist. So I don't know why NECA is backtracking with their wrist joints. They even did it with their most recent Predator figure, which is the Fugitive Predator from the new movie. I don't know why they did it with that figure as well. And another reason why, so I believe I took a 0.5 point off for that, and I also, what was the other reason why I took off a 0.5 point? I can't remember. Maybe it's because some of the leg joints have a bit of looseness to it, and over time, all NECA figures do eventually get some loose joints, which is pretty disappointing. I think that's the other reason why. I could be wrong. Go back and watch my review, and whatever you see me point out as an issue, that's the other reason why I took off another 0.5 point. That is the reason why I gave this box set an even 9 instead of like a perfect 10 or something like that. Now, last here, this Goku figure, the Saiyan Raised on Earth one, I gave it a perfect 10. Usually I don't give this line here perfect 10s because Tamashii Nations cuts a lot of corners. There is subtle shading on the figure, so that is definitely good. The paintwork was handled very well. The detail was also handled very well. And we do get basic articulation. Now, the reason why I gave this figure a perfect 10 is because he cost pretty much half the price, just about, compared to other SH Figuarts Dragon Ball figures. So you're getting more than your money's worth with this figure, and it's an all-around great figure, great articulation, decent accessories, and the detail, like I said, was handled very well, and we got a bunch of interchangeable faces and all that stuff. So that is why I did give it a perfect 10. The price point was also a big factor in that as well. When I do get my ratings, I also think of the price point of the figure to add that in with how I'm gonna score it also. And this Goku figure was 35 bucks. I mean, can't get any better than that, getting a SH Figuarts Dragon Ball or Dragon Ball Z figure for that price. So that is why I gave this Goku a perfect 10. Now, hopefully that helped some of you understand more how I do my rating. Like I said, I always give the figure company the benefit of the doubt. I'm gonna start the figure off with a perfect 10. If there really isn't that many issues with the figure, or if there's just like one minor issue that you could let slide or something like that, you can give that figure a perfect 10. I mean, if you've been collecting from that figure company and constantly getting figures from that figure company, you know like how they work, how they make their figures. So yeah, you can give a perfect 10 out sometimes. Even though it's not perfect, you're never gonna get a perfect figure. Nothing's perfect. That's something that you do learn as you grow up. Nothing is perfect. That's why if you find like a minor issue here and there on a figure when you're reviewing it, that's why I'll give it a perfect 10. Depending on how many issues, or with accessories, or how the articulation is, the detail, if the paint's well done or not well done, it just depends on how many issues you do find with the figure. That's why with all the good things about the figure, that's why my scores are usually more in the higher range, because overall, a figure like SH Figuarts or Mafex, NECA, Mezco, and other companies, they do a really good job making these figures, and I'm not going to knock off a bunch of points and give it like a 2 unless it's a really bad figure like Mattel. But I'm not going to do that with these figures that are extremely well made. Yeah, we'll find some issues here and there, but that is what helps you, well, helps me decide what the rating is going to be with the figure. So like I said, I hope this video helped some of you out on how I rate my figures at the end of reviews. That's pretty much how I did it. And if you want, let me know in the comments below how you decide on your rating, or what score you decide to give a figure when you personally review it, either if you're a YouTuber or if you just review it for personal reasons. Feel free to comment it in the comments below. But anyway, that's my video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you would like to support the channel, don't forget to subscribe and click on that notification bell. And if you liked it, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't like it, oh well, I guess you didn't like it. But thanks for watching. I will see you later.